Hello, my STEM students. Hello, how are you? I hope you're well. We're continuing talking about functions, and this day is a good one. And it's good that we're asynchronous because it's something you could pick up without me, but very, very glad to answer questions when we see each other next time synchronously. You've seen this before, and you're going to see it again. Why? Because it's important. It's about using function notation. We're going to be using it a lot this year. So we have a function, f of x equals 3x plus 8. Remember, a function is a relationship between a domain and the range, a special relationship that for every x value, every domain, only one y value will be produced. You're never going to put in 5 for x and get two different numbers. That would not be a function. If you put in 5 for x, you're going to get one specific y value. And when you plug in 8 for x, you're going to get one specific y value. You're not going to get two. Here's the notation. I don't know if this is true or not, but I always called f, I just called the name of the function. I believe it's true. F is the name of the function. And these parentheses, it does not mean multiply. It represents something else. It represents a containment. F is going to receive x, the domain. And the result will be the output or the range. So 3x plus 8 is the range. But notice 3x plus 8 equals f of x. So f of x is also the range. X is the domain, but f of x is the range. F of x is the product, the result of whatever x value you happen to put in. Now, instead of just saying x, it's worth thinking in your head, replace the word x with the word input. Instead of saying f of x, think f of the input equals 3 times the input plus 8. So whatever you replace x with, that's going to act as the input. For example, 5. If you replace x with 5, this becomes 3 times 5 plus 8 because 5 is the input. 3 times the input plus 8. And 3 times 5 plus 8 is 15 plus 8, which is 23. It would be a colossal mistake to divide by 5. You're not thinking divide by 5, are you? That's a big, big mistake. No, 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 no. F of 5 equals 23. It's not F times 5, it's F of 5. If F receives 5, you're going to get 23. That means that on this graph, 3x plus 8, 523 is an ordered pair. 5 goes in, 23 comes out. 5 and 23 are like a married couple. 5 is connected to 23. And since it's a function, 5 is not going to go anywhere else. 5 is not going to go to 22 or 24 or 21. 5 always gets mapped to 23 in this function. What about f of t? Well, the function is just 3 times the input plus 8. So the input is t. So it's 3 times t plus 8, which is 3t plus 8. And if you really want it to write it as a function, or I'm sorry, as an ordered pair, the input is t, the output was 3t plus 8. So that's what the ordered pair would look like. Moving on, here's another function, h. H is receiving x. What does it do with that? It takes that input and it squares it. And then it subtracts 1. And then whatever that equals, it divides that by the input again. Let's practice. If you give h -3, then that input -3 gets squared. Then you subtract 1. And then whatever that answer is, you divide that by -3. Hopefully you were picturing this in your head. And now it's just a matter of simplifying. -3 squared is positive 9. And 9 minus 1 is 8. And 8 divided by -3 is -8/3. So on this graph, x squared minus 1 divided by x, the ordered pair -3, -8/3 is on that function. Here's another one, g of x. Takes the input -7 divided by 5. This one's a little bit different. I want to find an x value such that g equals 0. So g of x equals 0. Well, I know g of x equals x minus 7 divided by 5. And I want to know what x value will make this whole thing equal 0. Well, then 0 equals x minus 7 divided by 5. Do you see how the 0 goes in the y position now? It's not replacing x because I don't know what x is. I want to find out what x is. So 0 is the result. What started the chain reaction? What was the domain that resulted in 0? And we use algebra to solve. How would you solve for x here? First, get rid of this pesky 5. This x minus 7 is being divided by 5. So the undoing of division is multiplication. So we're going to multiply by 5. Left side and right side to keep the balance. On the left side, you have 5 times 0, which is 0. On the right side, these two 5s cancel out, leaving you with just x minus 7. Now you're one step away. You want to get x by itself, you're subtracting 7. So what undoes subtracting 7? Of course, adding 7 undoes that. So you're going to add 7 on both sides. Minusing 7 and adding 7 cancel each other out. 0 plus 7 equals 7. So voila, x equals 7. So what x value makes g equal 0? 7. G of 7 will get you to 0. And getting to 0 is a big deal. You will see that the rest of the year. You probably already know that already. But whenever you find an x value that results in 0, that x value is called a 0. So 7 is a 0 of g. It's also an x-intercept. The ordered pair 7, 0 is an x-intercept of the function g of x, this thing right here. Two more slides to go. Here's the same function g, but now I want to find what x value will result in -2. Pause the video and see if you can find out on your own. I hope you paused and you took some time to find out what would the x value be that would result in -2. So -2 is equal to g of x. Well, x minus 7 divided by 5 equals g of x. Therefore, these two things must be equal. -2 must equal x minus 7 over 5. So I set them equal to each other. And now I try to solve. So I multiply, just like before, I multiply both sides by 5. And the left side becomes -10. The right side, those two 5s cancel out, leaving you with just x minus 7. And same as before, you want to solve for x, so you're going to add 7 on both sides to undo the minusing 7 that was occurring. And -7 plus 7, they cancel out, leaving you with just x on the right. But what do you get on the left? -10 plus 7 is -3. So -3 is the x value that would make this function result in -2. It may not be the only x value, but it is an x value. In fact, for this one, it is the only x value. So g of -3 equals -2, which means -3, 2 is an ordered pair on this function. Now, -3 did not result in 0. So -3 is not a 0. It is not an x-intercept. It's just a boring, run-of-the-mill ordered pair, -3, 2. Last slide. A new function yet again, f of x is -4x plus 1. Well, what is f of x plus 7? This is where, if you think of the word input, like I suggested, this is going to be, you're not going to make as many mistakes as you might have. The function is -4 times the input plus 1. Well, the input happens to be x plus 7. So I need to write -4 times this input, -4 times x plus 7, plus 1, so plus 1. And now I just need to do what I see. I see multiplication mixed with addition. That means I distribute. So negative 4 times x, negative 4 times 7. I get negative 4x minus 28. And then I see I have like terms. Negative 28 and positive 1 are both integers, so I can add them up to get negative 27. And I'm stuck. I can't combine these. They're not like terms, so I must be done. And I am done. F of x plus 7 results in negative 4x minus 27. And you can write this as an ordered pair, even though it's unusual to, but the input was x plus 7. And the result, output, range, is negative 4x minus 27. What is f of 2 plus f of 8? Well, I find out what f of 2 is, I find out what f of 8 is, and then I just add them together. So f of 2 is just negative 4 times 2 plus 1, and f of 8 is negative 4 times 8 plus 1. This is negative 8 plus 1, negative 32 plus 1. I get negative 7 and negative 31. F of 2 is negative 7, f of 8 is negative 31. I was asked to add them, so I add them up, and I get negative 38. So f of 2 plus f of 8 is negative 38. Last example. What does this mean? 3f parentheses negative 5. You have to recognize that this is function notation. And so what does 3f mean? It means 3 times whatever f of negative 5 is. Order of operations still apply. F of negative 5 acts as a grouping symbol. So you would have to do f of negative 5 first and then multiply by 3. So we have to figure out what is f of negative 5. Again, it's negative 4 times the input plus 1. Now my input is negative 5. So negative 4 times negative 5 plus 1, which is positive 20 plus 1, which is positive 21. So f of negative 5 equals 21. But wait, I wanted to know what is 3 times f of negative 5. So 3 times 21 is 63, and that is it.